Hey guys, Miss Osuna here. Let's get started with black hair. So we're gonna do long, straight black hair, but we wanna have those three different tones of very dark, and then medium, and then light. And here we go. We are dividing our oval horizontally and vertically, like a letter T, right in the middle. And once we finish that, we divide that top section horizontally and the bottom section horizontally. We know that the top line is hairline, middle line is for the eyes, and the bottom horizontal line is for the mouth. Now let's go on and shape the hair. Like I said, this is going to be straight black hair. So it's pretty close to the actual skull, and you can make this as long or as short as you like. Once you finish, you just want to take your kneaded eraser and get rid of the lines that we don't need. And of course, this is marker paper for a demo. Usually though, you will take your finished croquis and transfer it to your marker paper by just rubbing that off. I'm just gonna build out the shape of the head, even though we are not focusing on the facial features here, but I just need to put the chin and the sides of our jawline in place, and then I'll just put in some basic facial features, but we will be focusing on the hair for this demo. So I've chosen to create a very long face, and that's going to reflect the long hair. And now it's time to get started. I'm using a gray. This is a medium gray. And then of course I'll be using darker gray and black. So I'm starting on the left side, which is our shadow side, making sure I start at the crown, and then I skip down, leaving space for the halo. And also by the neck. That has to be very dark because there's a shadow. So on the right side, which is our light source side, I still start on the left, meaning the shadow side. And of course, by that neck, once again, it has to be very dark. And you're just putting in these parenthesis shapes at the top of the head and then straight lines when the hair is closer to the cheek and the bottom of our sketch. Now I'm going to repeat with a darker gray, but I'm not covering entirely the full first layer. I do want some of that lighter gray to still show through. So just gently add in this darker gray on top of your first time around, which was the lighter gray, but leave some of that lighter gray showing. Notice I left more of the lighter gray showing on the right side because that's my light source side. All right, next we move on to our black. So that's my darkest, and once again, I'm putting this on top of my first two layers, but not covering everything entirely. I still want to leave some white space so that when I blend it all together, I can still have light reflected, even though this is black hair. So now I'm going to add some diversity here and have a very thin, fine line black ink, and I'm going to start at the crown in the same way and skip down to the halo and then down the bottom. So thin and thick is a very nice contrast. So the width of each line is important. So the first 3 times with my Copic markers, I used the wedge tip side, and those were thicker lines. Now I'm adding thinner lines with a fine point black ink. Now it's time to get the blender and blend it all together. So remember, don't take away all of the white, but you do want to make some white space because there is light reflected in our dark black hair. As you're blending, I'm using the chiseled side of the Copic blender, and you just want to very gently drag the colors through the sketch, but very slowly. So I'm only drawing about 1/2 inch at a time with my strokes of the blender. So I'm not going from the top of the head all the way to the bottom in one stroke. I'm just doing a little bit at a time. Now remember, on the light source side, you want more light to show, and that for us is the right side. Blended to your liking, you're done, but I'm just gonna keep going. Now I'm gonna add in another layer, and that's gonna be with black colored pencil. But before I do that, clean off that blender. So you do need marker paper, and you wanna scribble on that so that the black ink does not stay in your colorless blender, because if it does, it will get stuck there. So make sure right away you clean that blender off. So now I'm going to move to a black colored pencil and just add, like I said, the diversity of lines. Colored pencil is thicker than my fine point, and my fine point ink was much thinner than my marker. So that diversity of lines is what helps to make interest in the sketch. And once I've done that, I can move and add even more diversity, or you could stop here. Totally up to you. I'm just going to use a regular drawing pencil, and this one is a very soft lead so that it's very dark, and I'm just going to add that feathery effect that I can get from this very soft lead. So this is a very, very soft lead. I usually tend to have an even up to like a 7B, so that the lead is very, very soft and it gives me that very light, soft, feathery look. And like I said, once you feel that you've achieved the look you want, you're done. So you could technically stop right here. I'm just gonna go on a little bit. If you don't want her ends at the bottom to be so thin, you can go on and thicken those up a bit. And I'm gonna add a tiny bit more of my fine point. Down towards the end, I'm gonna thicken up those ends just a little bit. And I still want it to feel natural, but I definitely want her to feel like she has healthy hair. So for me, adding in this next layer with these darker fine point ink lines and strokes just gives more depth. And now I am going to add just a little bit of white colored pencil just to add to that highlight. But once again, once you achieve the look you want, you literally are done. You absolutely don't have to continue going, but I feel like it would be a nice addition. So just a little bit more black colored pencil on the bottom ends going upward just to thicken it a bit, and then it'll be time to move on. Here again, just to treat those edges at the bottom a little bit more, I'm adding some black Copic marker just at the bottom. And once I have that in place, then I can go on ahead and blend it. But if you did want that layered look, you would want to keep those edges the way they were, which made it feel much more natural and thinner. All right, so here I am just adding that blender to that bottom edge and up as far as I feel like I need it. And you can see your blender has an alcohol mix, and so it picks up the ink and then allows it to sort of smear and spread on the page. So once I do that, those will be my final touches and I will be all set, and that will be black hair but with light reflecting, and that will give you a lot of variety for your croquis. That's it for this video. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Until we meet again, happy sketching.